Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and it's nice to be back here once again, and I welcome you to the School of Social Sciences. This program is telecasting from the School of Social Sciences and the Faculty of Library and Information Science. Our today's topic is Document Delivery Services, and we are extremely privileged to have Mr. Mahesh as a resource person. He'll be speaking on the title which I have mentioned, Document Delivery Service. So now I would like to give the rest of the time to our resource person, Mr. Mahesh.
Thank you, Mr. Yantan, and good evening, viewers. As Mr. Yantan said, I'll be talking to you about document delivery services, one of the very important information service. In fact, in the previous session, we talked about alerting service, and I had made a mention of document delivery service, and here we will be talking about document delivery services in greater detail. Now we will straight away look at the definition of document delivery service. Document delivery service is an information service. So it is an information service like any other information service, like say the current awareness service or the several services that we talked about under the current awareness kind of service. So this is also an information service that is largely fee based, and that provides documents or copies of documents in a format desirable by distant or remote users. So what you can see is that the operative words being largely fee based, may not always be fee based, but then we will see that many of the document delivery centers in the world provide the document delivery service on a charged basis. And secondly, the idea is to provide documents or copies of documents in a format. It could be on paper, and as is well known with changing technological trends, it could be on other than paper. It could also be through email or on a CD-ROM or other electronic means. Document delivery service, if you look at a little bit of its evolution, you will see that libraries did exist since time immemorial, and the libraries used to provide books on loan, as is being done today. A reader goes to the library and can read books and documents in the library, and can also borrow books through the loan facility that is provided in the provided by the library. But there are also instances when a specific book or document is not available in the library, and in such cases the library has to borrow this document from a library nearby. And this facility by which the library makes available a document to the user is through this service called the interlibrary lending, or also sometimes called the interlibrary loan. And then we see the document delivery service with development in reprographic techniques. The document delivery service came into being where the copies of document could be sent to remote users, or even you could loan documents to remote users and get it back. So this encompassed the document delivery service that we know today, and from then on we have the different terminologies such as document supply service, then the electronic document delivery, remote document supply, and the internet delivery service. with so many of different terminologies, which is the terminology that we need to follow. So here I would like to show you about an opinion paper by one of the authorities on document delivery service called Morris B. Line. He published a paper in the eminent journal Interlending and Document Supply, wherein he came up with this paper titled A Matter of Terminology from ILL, standing for Interlibrary Loan or Interlibrary Lending, and document delivery to remote document service. So these, in his exposition here, the author goes on to state that these are basically, again, as we saw in alerting service, matter of terminology, but the concept or the essence of the service remains the same, wherein it is making available a document to the user. So what is the need for document delivery services? We are aware of many different services that are given by or rendered by library information centers, and these services have been evolved by library information service based on the user's requirement or user's need. Now, if you look at document delivery service, one of the reasons for the document delivery service coming into being, or the need for a document delivery service, is a non-availability of source document. With the explosion in literature, or with more and more sources of information coming into being, it is practically impossible by any library and information center to collect or build a collection of the document. So one of the reasons has been the non-availability of the source documents in libraries concerned, and the next one is the budgetary constraints. Many times we know that libraries and information centers have constraints of budgets, and it is a growing problem that libraries and information centers are faced with decreasing budget and escalating cost of resources. So these budgetary constraints is also another reason why document delivery service has come into being, because a library may not be able to obtain a particular resource or a particular item of information, but can always get it from elsewhere and provide it to the user. The next one is the concept of resource sharing. As students of library and information science, you might be aware of the concept of resource sharing, where libraries by sharing the resources they have can fulfill the information needs of their users, can or maximize fulfilling the information needs of users, and also at the same time can save on cost. So a document delivery service encourages resource sharing, wherein libraries can come together and borrow information or documents from one library and make it available to users, to their users. And today we are aware, or we all know very well that the secondary services and databases have become very efficient. In fact, the internet is also a very rich source of information, and we have several secondary services that are available free on the internet today, many abstracting databases and several other sites that provide you with basic bibliographic information. Once you have this kind of bibliographic information, the user has access to the bibliographic information, the user can approach any document delivery service provider or any specific library and avail the document or obtain the document from there. So the availability of good secondary services or databases have also made the need of document delivery service more pronounced. And growth of resources, of course, this we discussed a little earlier also in alerting services, where we have talked about the growth of information sources or overabundance of information, which I earlier mentioned, that because of increase in information, non-availability can be due to low budgetary constraint. The other is so much of information that is available that a library cannot have all those. Even if if there is no budgetary constraint, then there could be a constraint of space, or there could be a constraint of manpower. So there are different constraints, and owing to which all the resources cannot be obtained in the library, and the document delivery service fulfills the information need. Now we talk about some of the characteristics of document delivery service. What are the characteristics that a typical document delivery service should have? First and foremost is the turnaround time. Today it is more important today than ever, because with increased telecommunication facilities and access to information 24/7, today the users expect a quick turnaround time, which means to say that the user requests for a copy of an article or a copy of a document and he expects that the document is available to him within the minimum possible time frame. So the turnaround time depends on many things. The time that is taken to receive the request, the time that is taken to process request, the time taken for supplying or delivering the particular copy or copy of the document or the document to the end user. So there is time involved in all this, especially when in cases when the document has to be obtained from other libraries. So the turnaround time is a very important characteristic of low turnaround time, rather, is a very important of document delivery service. And then we talk about cost. The costs, as I said in the definition, when we talked about document delivery service being a largely charged service provided by library and information centers, but the service should be cost effective. It should not be very expensive, and we are aware of situations when users cannot afford document delivery service, particularly provided by international document delivery service providers, where the charges are quite exorbitant. So the document delivery service that is provided by a library and information center should be cost effective. And the third is the fill rate. The document delivery service provider, if it is a library or a documentation center, it should be able to satisfy maximum requests, which means to say if there are about 100 customers or 100 users requesting for documents or copies of documents, the document delivery service provider should be able to provide at least or respond to at least 90 to 95% of the requests. Many times the service provider is not able to fulfill the requirement of the user because the document is not available in the library or is not available in other library information centers on which the particular documentation center depends on. So, and this actually affects the fill rate. But a good document delivery service would have a substantially high fill rate. And finally, we look at quality. Quality is again a very important attribute to any document delivery service, because when a user eventually gets the copy of a particular document, the problems of say missing page or a problem of the copies being poor owing to bad photocopying or other reprography would affect the quality of the service. So a document delivery service provider has to focus on these characteristics to provide a good document delivery service. Next, we discuss about the different types of document delivery service models that are available or that are well known. And there are in fact 4 types of models: the centralized planned model, the decentralized planned model, the decentralized unplanned model, and finally the partially centralized model with backup libraries. In the next few minutes we will look at each of these models, what they mean, and we'll also look at the advantages and disadvantages of each of these models. We begin with the centralized planned model, and as the terminology suggests, it depends on a centralized library or a single library which acts as a document delivery service provider. So it is naturally expected that when you talk about a single library or one library that has to cope with several document delivery requests, it is expected that such a kind of library or documentation center would have a very comprehensive collection. So these kind of the centralized planned model would ideally be a national level library or a documentation service with a documentation center with a huge collection that can fulfill the user's information needs, and obviously with very large resources, different types of resources that can be used to fulfill the information requirements of the users. And so what would be the advantages of a centralized planned model? So in a centralized planned model, the center is mandated, or the core activity of the center is being document delivery service, that the services are efficient because the center is meant for this purpose, and each workflow and all modalities are in place, and therefore the response rate, fill rate, and other characteristics that we talked about the document delivery service is matched or fulfilled by in a centralized plan model. And as saying, the high supply speed, the response rate would be high, and the cost of handling request would be low, because the library or documentation center is not going to bank or not going to depend on other library and information centers. Since they have the resources themselves, they would provide the copy from their end. So therefore the cost of handling the request from the customer would be low. There would be low processing charges particularly, and the demand and supply can be monitored and analyzed to build a effective collection. So in a centralized plan model, the library can in fact very closely monitor the demand and supply, but when it has to depend on a large number of other libraries for fulfilling the the needs of the user, then the monitoring can get a little difficult. But then in a centralized plan model, this can be monitored, and based on the monitoring, the collection of the library can be built accordingly. So that is what the last advantage of the centralized plan model is. Now, what would be a disadvantage of such a kind of a model? One of the major disadvantages, as expected, would be the cost of maintenance would be high. Of course, needless to say that a lot of expenditure would be involved in fact acquisition or collection of the information, and more than that, the cost of maintenance would also be very high. And there could also be duplication in collection, and here I mean by there could be duplication of collection within the library. Supposing there are documents that are regularly or more frequently in demand, so the library might like to have more copies of a document, or there duplication could also mean that in a centralized plan model, you are getting, the library is getting certain documents, and a nearby library is also getting the same documents. So here we will see that there is duplication in resources and a lot of money being spent by different libraries on getting the same resources. Now we come to the next or the second model, which is called the decentralized planned model. In decentralized planned model, as again the term indicates, it's well planned, but then the mode of operation is decentralized. So it can be expected that the service is provided not by one library but in collaboration with a few libraries. So when a few libraries are involved, then the collections are built in a planned manner. It is decided that a library X would build a collection on a particular subject or on a particular documents, or in the case of journals, the titles of journals can be decided by a group of libraries and can subscribe to different journals without actually duplicating the titles. And resources of these libraries are made known by union catalogs. You must be familiar with union catalogs, which are actually tools that provides location information about books or journals. Particularly the serial union catalogs are well known, and these catalogs tell which journal is available in which library, or which library holds a particular journal, and what is the period for which the the journal is being held, what are the missing issues. So the information to that level is made known through union catalogs, and union catalogs become very important in a decentralized plan model, just because the libraries need to know which journal is available in which of the libraries. Now the advantages here of such a model would be that the adequate collection can be built to meet an entire nation's requirement. If planned very well, then it is only natural that in fact collections can be built in such a manner that even a country's requirement can be met through this particular model. And there is no burden on any particular library, because proper planning is done and it is early on decided that which library will acquire what resource. So there is no particular no burden on any one library, and there is optimal utilization of budget. Again, the key lies in planning, because since it is well planned, the budget is also used optimally. Now talking of disadvantages, the disadvantages is that libraries have to put extra effort in addition to their many main functions. Libraries, as we are very well aware, have different roles, functions and duties to discharge, and document delivery service is one of the services that is provided by all these services, all these libraries. But when it is agreed upon that the document delivery service would be provided or would be rendered in this planned manner, then libraries and information centers have to put in an extra effort so that the time frames discussed or the quality of service decided upon is met, irrespective of whatever the problems that the libraries may have in terms of staffing or staff leaving or other aspects. So libraries will have to definitely put in a little bit of extra effort when it comes to this kind of a model, and in some cases it is also quite likely that some of the libraries may be forced to acquire resources that are not required. So in the planning stage, it could be, it is very likely that a library may not require an X resource, an X journal, but then because it is a collective or a cooperative endeavor, the particular library is compelled to subscribe or to obtain a resource which the library in itself may not use it to the maximum, but has to have it for the sake of other libraries. Now we go to the next model, which is the decentralized unplanned model, and as the again the title indicates, you're talking about a unplanned model. There's no planning involved here, and it is but then it is decentralized, as we saw in the other model. There are a number of libraries involved, but then there is no planning involved. So here again it is based on the collection of a large number of libraries, which is of course very similar to the previous model that we talked about. But then here the individual libraries are free to build a collection in their areas of interest. So there is no binding on any library. In the previous model we saw that there could be a binding on individual libraries to subscribe to specific journals. But then in the decentralized unplanned model, the individual libraries can build the collection in their own area of interest, and there may or may not be location tools. This is again because of no planning involved. It is not necessary that the libraries need to cooperate. So location tools may be available, it may not be available, and there may not be any focal point or coordination centers. In the decentralized plan model, maybe a point that I missed is that there could be a focal center, or there could be a lead, there could be a library that plays a lead role. But here there is no focal point or coordination centers, and each library is on its own, and the only commonality is that they request the other libraries through whatever way, through location tools or through any other means, and there is no binding that the other library should respond or should help the library which is requesting for documents. So the advantages of such a model is that one of the biggest advantages is that each of the individual libraries are free to build collections of their own library. It doesn't have to look at the needs or requirements of the other libraries, and there is no need to acquire any additional resource, so it can restrict the resources that the libraries require, and they are not under any obligation to participate. They are not obliged to participate at all. In fact, they may get a copy of a document from another library. That doesn't mean that they have to be reciprocal. There is no binding, but then by and large libraries do reciprocate, but then there is no obligation to actually participate. The disadvantages is time consuming to locate resources, particularly when the union catalog is absent, or if there has been no endeavor to create a union catalog, then it becomes really time consuming to locate resources, which library is holding the resources. And even if a library has been identified as holding the resource, that particular library may refuse to lend because they are not expected to, there is no binding on them. And of course there is no coordination in collection building, and the disadvantage of the focal point not being there to handle requests from the users is also a disadvantage. Then we come to the last model, which is the partially centralized model with backup libraries. So here we are talking about one of the library or the center that is taking a lead role, and the other libraries, again as in the previous case, the other libraries are not forced to participate, but the difference being that the location tool is built by the lead library. When we are talking about a number of backup libraries being used or being required by the lead library, then the location tool becomes a necessity, and this location tool or building of this location tool is the responsibility of the lead library. The advantages on such a model is that here you have a focal point. The end user, a remote user, need not be concerned about which library is actually holding this information. All he or she has to do is contact the focal point, and it is the responsibility of the focal point to obtain the document from whichever holding institution and providing it to the end user. And again here the advantage is that the backup libraries are under no obligation to build any specific collection. They are free to build their own collection, and the backup libraries are therefore not burdened. Now, talking about disadvantages, the backup libraries may not mutually agree to cooperate. So among the backup libraries, they may not actually cooperate, or and that can be a problem, particularly when the libraries are aware that the documents are being obtained by the focal point and being provided to the users. And here of course we see duplication of resources simply because the backup libraries are free to build their own resources, and they are not concerned what the focal point is collecting or what the other libraries are collecting, and therefore leads to large amount of duplication of resources. And finally, one of the major disadvantages of this kind of a model is the high turnaround time. This is particularly when the focal point does not hold the document and has to approach a backup library, and sometimes it also so happens that the backup library, as per the catalog, union catalog, might have the information, but then at that point of time, the point of request, the journal might have gone for binding, or the journal issue might be missing, in which case they send a non-availability intimation, and then the focal point has to go to another library, and this can actually go on in with 2, 3 or 4 libraries, and this involves a lot of time, and as a result the end user or the customer has to suffer from high turnaround time. Now, having talked about the different models of document delivery service, and more so in the traditional sense, we move over to the electronic document delivery. What do we mean by electronic document delivery? So as you can see here, the phrase electronic document delivery systems self-evidently implies the supply and reproduction. The operative words here are supply and reproduction electronically of the kind of information usually provided in the form of print or paper. The supply and reproduction electronically, which means that sending across a document on fax could also amount to document delivery, because the supply and reproduction of the kind of information is through electronic means and provided by printing on paper. The other definition that is given is that the combination of electronic equipment and software used to provide services that scan and transmit digital copies of paper documents between libraries or between a library and an end user. So here we are talking about a typical case of having a document and scanning it and sending it to the library concerned, or sending it to a end user through email. So this is a typical case of electronic document delivery through email. Why should we have electronic document delivery? It saves enormously on cost, and of course I would say to some extent on environment also, because when we talk about the traditional document delivery, we are talking about providing document delivery on paper, and here we are talking about the electronic document delivery, where the service is provided through electronic means, thereby saving a lot on the cost of paper, and also to some extent on the environmental degradation to some extent, because we are saving abundantly on paper. Then we are also saving on time, because document delivery, paper-based document delivery in the traditional format takes a lot of time, particularly owing to the surface mail delivery. It could be the courier or the postal delays, but then it uses a lot of time which is not there in electronic document delivery, as in the case of electronic document delivery through email. And the other reason is user attitude. Today when we are talking about things like digital natives, or their users are increasingly adept or increasingly in tune with the electronic environment, the attitudes of the user is also changing. The users also prefer to have documents in the electronic form than on paper. Of course, this may not be the rule of the thumb, may not be a general case, but increasingly users prefer to have documents in electronic form, and the change in user attitude is also another reason why we have electronic document delivery. And these electronic document delivery, as is shown here, can be rendered or given through email, CD-ROM, fax, or the systems such as Arial and Adonis. Now, we might like to look at one of the systems, the Adonis system, one of the earliest electronic document delivery service, which talks about which actually stands for Article Delivery over Network Information System, and this was a venture by a few commercial publishers who came together and launched journals on CD-ROMs. So this was one of the earliest forms of electronic document delivery, wherein journals were available on CD-ROM. And here we are also seeing an interesting scenario where publisher as a document delivery service provider came into being. As we all know, document delivery service was basically in the domain of library and information centers, or library and information centers were the institutions providing document delivery service. But with a system of the Adonis, the journals being published on electronic medium, and wherein the users could have access to the document directly from the publisher, or in fact copy of the article directly from the publisher, the publisher's role in document delivery service came into being. And in fact there are several electronic document delivery software and tools, some of which are not very popular owing to the internet delivery systems of document delivery. But then Arial has been one of the most common document delivery service, and this was in fact started by the Research Library Group, which is an international non-profit membership organization of libraries, archives and museums, which have been working together to create solutions to the challenges of information access and management. So what RLG has done is they came out with the Arial, the document delivery system, as early as 1980s, and in 1991 they released the first version of the Arial software, which is a software for document delivery service, and by 2003 this was taken over by an organization called Infotrieve, and it's still available. The Arial as a document delivery system, or a document transmission system as it is called today, is available. Now, and there are other document delivery services like LexNote as well. Next we come to the final final document delivery system, what we call the internet delivery system, and this is basically a web-based document delivery service. In electronic document delivery service, I mentioned about the role of CD-ROM or other electronic media for document delivery system, but here we are talking about document delivery service which is internet-based, and it is of course an extension of electronic document delivery, or I would say that electronic document delivery provided over networks with access 24/7 access, and it bypasses the role of the librarian and uses modern technologies to automatically deliver articles to the user's computer. So here we will shortly see how the role of the librarian is overcome in providing or in availing the document delivery service through internet delivery systems. What we see here is the mediated, workflow in the mediated document delivery service. So you will see that the user requests for a document through post, email or fax, and the library concerned or the documentation center concerned looks for the particular document through union catalogs or other location tools, and once identified where the document is available, the photocopying or other processing of the document is done. It could be scanning, and once the processing is done, it is sent to the user against a payment which is through vouchers or checks that is received by the user, and of course it is delivered to the end user. And if we compare with the internet delivery system, which I called it the non-mediated delivery service, wherein the role of the librarian is obviated, here we are talking about the first step would be the similar one, where the request is made by email or it is through an electronic document delivery system, which means basically by electronic means, and the system does the processing here, which means the document that is required by the end user is available on the system, and from the email or other request of the end user, the system identifies the document that is required, and the payment is collected through e-payment gateways, and the delivery is made to the end user. So some of the intervening steps where there is a need for the library staff is obviated in internet delivery systems. This is at another schematic of the traditional document delivery service and the internet delivery service. At the top you will see the traditional system, wherein you have a photocopier and a request that is received, and if the request is duplicated and sent through post, it takes 2 days, and the fax delivery will take 5 minutes. And at the bottom you will see that through the internet delivery system, there it is the document is of course scanned and stored in a mass storage, and the download time is just about a minute. So that actually shows you the turnaround time, high turnaround time, where in the case of internet document delivery system. And lastly, I would like to conclude by saying that document delivery is about basically about quality of service. It need not be about systems, because there is a dependence on systems, on computing and communication facilities, but then the ultimate success of a service, of the document delivery service, would actually depend on the quality of service, whether it is traditional or electronic or IDS based service. When we talk about the quality of service, we talk about 100% user satisfaction. Thank you.
Well, Mahesh, I have a question for you. Since we are running short of time, I would just put up just one question. Well, you have mentioned something about like types and models of documentary delivery services, like centralized planned model, decentralized planned model, centralized unplanned model, and decentralized unplanned model. Well, which according to you is the best suited model for an academic information center?
Well, it would be very difficult to say which is the best. Ideally, one would say that a centralized planned model, like say the British Library Document Supply Center, wherein one library is able to have a high fill rate and a good response time. So ideally one would like to have that, but then we know that having a centralized plan model would involve a huge expenditure in terms of not only financial resources but also other kinds of resources. So in developing countries it might be a little difficult to have a ideal model like the centralized plan model. But a model, and I said that a decentralized plan model is good enough to cater to a country's requirement. But then when we come to the logistics of working with such a model, it becomes very difficult having a decentralized plan model, because of the various constraints that are involved in operationalizing such a model. So I would say that a decentralized model with the backup libraries that we are talking about, the last one, that would be the most appropriate model.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mahesh, for your comprehensive explanation on document delivery service. With this, we come to the end of our program. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you.